What is up, everyone? And thank you for tuning in to Don't Say the F Word. We are a pro wrestling and combat sports podcast. Does not use the F word when we talk about professional wrestling. And you shouldn't let your friends use it either. We're doing our Royal Rumble pre-show along with WWE's pre-show of the Rumble. We're recording here in a Riverside studio. Over this way, over here. We're on Instagram Live. Just gonna take a look at some things going on in Rumble, make some final predictions. Mark's here chilling. Cody Rhodes figure behind us here. I think the get it out of the way final prediction for what I think will happen this year, Men's Rumble. I think Sami Zayn kind of has to win. Don't see anybody else winning the Rumble. If I'm going to take the pencil and I'm going to book this Rumble, a few key things kind of have to happen. I do think we still stand a possibility that Rock is in the Rumble. I don't think we're out of the woods yet for Rocky showing up. Dwayne could still be there. I think a lot of the stuff maybe was to throw us off, maybe a bit of a work to make us believe we're not going to get the Rock. I think that Cody Rhodes should probably be number one. I've seen some things that it could be Brock number one, Bobby Lashley number two. I don't think that situation does anything for that story. I don't think that those two being one and two mean anything. I think if Cody Rhodes is number one and Seth Rollins is number two, I think that means something. And then I think there's a lot that can be told throughout each story arc of the Royal Rumble tonight if those two are number one and number two. I think that you get to the end, if you have those guys both being the Iron Men and the guys that are able to kind of run a gauntlet in a WWE match, you really end up in a situation where you could have these guys being down. They could be one and two and be down to the final four and continue telling a story. I think if you can get there, and you can get Cody and Seth down to the final, I think you have Sami in there at the end. Even if Rock shows up, you could do a Roman run-in to eliminate The Rock to bring us on to another piece of the story to be told later. But then I think you could have a situation where Sami Zayn wins the Rumble on accident. If I had the pencil and I'm booking this thing, I'm having Seth Rollins, Cody Rhodes, Sami Zayn, the final three. Rock could have been man number four, and Roman comes out. Roman can eliminate The Rock. He doesn't have to be in the match to eliminate somebody that's been done before. I think you do that. You have Seth stomps Sami. Then, as Sami's laid out, dead center of the ring, you can have Cody work the elimination on Seth. We flippy-flop them both over the top rope. They both hit the outside. The bell rings. Sami Zayn wins the Royal Rumble as a surprise to himself. So Sami gets to face Roman at WrestleMania without meaning to face Roman. Then we have the drama. We have the will he or won't he. As I talked to Flip Gordon about, Flip's pick was Sami Uso, and I was kind of, again, like Cody Rhodes figure behind me. I want Cody to win, but we don't got to tell that story this year. That story doesn't have to be told tonight. We could do that next year. We could have Cody go after a world title without winning the Rumble. He doesn't got to win the Rumble. Doesn't have to. I think for Sami, I think it's beneficial for him to win the Rumble because, Wildland, absolutely. Knucklemania 3, February 17th in New Mexico. Absolutely. Anyone out there who's been tuning into our show knows I love BKFC. The events have been crazy. Last night was BKFC 35, which they gave away for free. It is free on the BKFC app. If you go and you're following any of the BKFC fighters, most of them have a link in their Instagram profile. You can get a discount on your annual subscription. I hope they get a kickback from that. They should get something. But you can save some money because the price of the BKFC app did just go up, went up to $7.99. And we got Wildman here. He's bringing the chaos. But it's worth every bit of that $8. Every bit of that $8. You watch a BKFC event, it looks like it was written by a Hollywood director. The production value, the intensity those guys are fighting with, absolutely unbelievable. If you're a fan of combat sports, and my dog here, you hear his squeaky toy, he's loving BKFC. There you go. There's that squeaky toy. But it's amazing. The production value they give these fights, it's intense 2-minute rounds in BKFC. These guys come dead center of the ring with 3 feet distance, and it's go time. That bell rings, and every one of these fighters comes out swinging. It's incredible skill and incredible strikers, and everything about BKFC is fantastic if you're a fan of combat sports. And if you're tuned into this podcast, odds are you're a fan of at least one combat sport, so you're going to enjoy BKFC. Mark loves BKFC. Whenever I'm looking at the Royal Rumble, and Knucklemania 3 is the BKFC debut of No Doubt Austin Trout versus Diego Sanchez, UFC veteran and MMA pioneer, making his BKFC debut. So hopefully fans of Diego tune in to see an entire card, stacked card at Knucklemania 3 of guys coming out there to really showcase their skill. It's going to be great. As we go back to WWE, we talk about the Rumble. We can tell that Sami Zayn story now. We can wait for the Cody Rhodes story later on in the year to get Cody to the world title. But if we can do something where we build on that drama with Roman and Sami, and you can throw The Rock in the mix, if The Rock shows up, which I really think The Rock is showing up, to be honest. I don't see a situation where now's the time. If we're going to have Rocky come back at all, I feel like it's got to be this year during the Bloodline storyline. I don't really know where else we're going with the Bloodline story if we're not going for a battle for being head of the table. I think that Roman can lose the titles and still be the guy and be battling it out trying to defend his spot at the head of the table. I think that if you can build that drama there and lead something into Elimination Chamber, which Elimination Chamber is a very interesting situation. And anyone who happened to catch the Ariel Helwani interview with Sami Zayn is very much aware now of something that pro wrestling nerds like myself kind of were paying attention to. There was an image that came out of the promotional 4-seat chairs they did that have Sami Zayn on them. And Sami's going to be in the chamber. Sami's going to be in the chamber. Maybe not. It's in Montreal. That's Sami's hometown. But Montreal has a great story in itself in the world of pro wrestling. Montreal is the home of the Screwjob. So if you're working a storyline that's very drama-filled already with your top guys on the show, with Sami Zayn, Roman Reigns, The Rock to an extent, which he's kind of the top guy in the story without ever really being in the story. As fans, we put The Rock in this story. But if they make this happen, they can retell the Screwjob again. They can do the Screwjob over again. They can do the hokey finish to the Rumble of an outside interference, leading us to getting our Rumble winner again. But we could look at the Montreal. We can look ahead to February's Elimination Chamber and it being in Montreal as a way for an attempt to screw Sammy out of his world title shot, as a way to look at it as trying to screw somebody over and The Rock getting a title shot. Whatever the situation may be, there's a story to be told about the city of Montreal. I don't know if it's a continuation of the Kevin Owens Roman Reigns story. This story's kind of had a lot to have happen over the years. Roman talked about how he's been beating Kevin up for years on the Jimmy Fallon show. So I don't know that we need to give that story more time as the focal point. It can still exist as a side quest that's happening. But I think after the Rumble, the main story kind of has to shift more to Sammy and Roman. As much as I would love for it to be Cody and Roman, I don't think it has to be Cody and Roman. On the Mark Wrestling Podcast, thanks for joining us. But, I mean, what do you guys think? You guys think that Cody needs to win this year or Sammy needs to win this year? I'm way more on the idea that it's better if Sammy wins, even though I'm a huge Cody Rhodes fan. Right now on WWE's pre-show, they're talking the Bray Wyatt, LA Knight, Mountain Dew, Pitch Black, Baja Blast, Code Red, Call of Duty, COD Points, Pitch Black match. It may not be all those things. I don't know. They haven't given us anything of what this match is. I guess they've been kind of testing the match dynamic out a little bit before TV over the last couple weeks. It's going to be a lot of like neon lights, and I would like to think it's going to be a situation of like spotlights on the wrestlers. I think that would kind of be a way to do it where the arena's just totally blacked out and you're putting a spotlight on LA Knight, a spotlight on Bray Wyatt, and it gives you an opportunity to work in some spooky things and work in some jump scares from Uncle Howdy. And maybe we see Uncle Harper, but they haven't done anything with an Uncle Harper yet. We have no clue who the identity of Uncle Howdy is. A lot of signs would want us to think it's Bo Dallas. That'd be great if it was. It would make the most sense. But it seems like 3 different people have played the character on TV. So I think that leaves it up to that surprise there. I'm not sure they even tell us anytime soon of who Uncle Howdy is. And I don't think they even need to. It could just be Uncle Howdy for a while. Hey, that's fine. I wish they would give us more information on the match. It seems like their LA Knight and Bray both really weren't too clear as to what this match was going to be leading up to it. It's a weird way to work a sponsorship in. Not like if you were just casually sipping a Nature's Twist sugar-free strawberry lemonade while you're recording a podcast. I think the Bray Wyatt return has been a little surprising for a lot of fans. I think a lot of fans have kind of wanted it to be more impactful. I think it's just a slow burn Bray Wyatt story. I don't think Bray ever intended this story to develop quickly. I don't think the LA Knight feud really hit its intended target, but I think it did something great in getting LA Knight over with the crowd. I know a lot of people weren't aware of LA Knight prior to this feud too much because he was doing that male model thing. It didn't last long enough for his involvement to really matter at all. They pulled him out quickly, which was great because the LA Knight character is a much better character than the Max Dupree character he was playing. But the LA Knight character is simply his Eli Drake character that he did in NWA. He did that with several different indie promotions. And I think that he did it. That character is just really good because it hits a lot of those nostalgia marks. It's the crowd's able to hit the catchphrases with him, his yas. People seem to really enjoy that with LA Knight, and it's very reminiscent of your '90s top stars. It's Sing Along with The Rock, which was just The Rock's take on some stand-up comedy with Andrew Dice Clay Sing Along with the Dice Man. Just play the hits and let the crowd join in. I mean, I think it's a given that Bray's going to win this match. I don't know if there's a way for him to. There's no reason for Bray to not win. LA Knight doesn't have to be victorious over Bray Wyatt for it to matter. Uh, but now on the pre-show we have JBL. I guess he's probably going to predict that Baron Corbin's going to win the Rumble. Baron Corbin's not going to win the Rumble. It's I don't know how they managed to kind of hit the nail right on the head while missing a mark with Baron Corbin's character. Because Baron Corbin's a really good in-ring wrestler. Like, he's very safe. His moveset's really cool. He does that little swoopy-doop outside the ring around the turnbuckle post and back end thing. That's really cool to see a guy his size do. But it just seems like there's always something missing to the character. I don't think adding JBL as the out-of-touch boomer is really the thing that's going to get Baron Corbin over. If anything, it stands the potential of just getting more hated and not in heel heat kind of hate. And sometimes I think it's that go away heat. I don't think JBL's Dan Lambert bad, but I mean, everything you hear about JBL from people who worked with him in interviews in the past, the dude's kind of a dick. So it's a given that a lot of wrestling fans really don't like the guy, but he does play the out of touch boomer well, talking about how back in his day these guys wouldn't even be allowed to carry his bags. So we got Seth Rollins video package. I'm not gonna call him Seth freaking Rollins, regardless how many times they cram that down our throat. Let's hope 2023 is the year that they take freaking out of his name. I don't know how a nickname became a middle name that they have to say anytime they mention the guy. It's become a bit nonsensical. I think they've really kind of overdone that piece of it. His cosplaying's been kind of cool, though. I mean, right now they're showing some stuff of him as a kid with his wrestling buddies. Somewhere around here, I got Kenny Omega wrestling buddy is somewhere else. But, showing some stuff from him from Florida Championship Wrestling, his time in NXT. But the stuff he's doing now with the silly costume, well, not even costume, just the wardrobe that he busts out where it's, I just seen something today where he was taking his shots at CM Punk. He was dressed like Rob Zombie at one of the Video Music Awards. So I think Seth's enjoying his current character. I think just some of the stuff they put him in, it's weird. I don't think the blonde hair addition really necessary. It kind of throws things off if we're going to continue his feud with Cody to have them both having some blonde hair. But that's an aesthetic thing that just I find weird. They could have gone back old school, half blonde, half black stuff. But I think having it come down to Seth being toward the end of it, I think they should really let Seth run the gauntlet of the Rumble. Be number one, be number two, and just run all the way to being one of the final guys. Is really the story to tell. Seth Rollins being the workhorse of the promotion. I mean, he's been the workhorse for years. He's been one of the best things on the show for years. Again, I don't think he needs to win the Rumble this year, though. He could. You could run it, Seth and Roman at Mania. I just don't know if we need to tell that story again. We know the wrestling match. Roman Reigns never beat Seth Rollins. You can't change that. It's been mentioned on TV, so you can't change it. It's got to remain that way. We got to have it so Roman doesn't beat Seth ever. I kind of think we need to do that with Seth and Cody. I don't think Seth should ever be able to beat Cody, and I think that's how the wrestling math should kind of always work. Which then would mean Cody should beat Roman, and that's kind of how we could easily have Cody Rhodes go over on Roman if we don't do Sammy. But I think whenever you look at what just happened on Raw in Philly, where you had 16,000 people chanting for Sammy while he's in the ring with Roman Reigns and Paul Heyman, I think that just tells you that Sammy should be the guy to go over in the Rumble, and he should be the guy to take the belts off of Roman. I would have never thought that was what I would have said a year ago, that Sammy should have been the guy. I would have been saying it should have been Cody. But I think that at this point, Sammy's done the most stellar character work his involvement in the bloodline, that I think it's time to just do that thing. Have him turn on Roman and turn on the bloodline before they can do it to him. The story, I mean, this is a situation where the Rumble and the road to WrestleMania organically booked itself. I don't think there's really a lot that needs to be done to just go where this story is going. And you know the tension's there. You know how the crowd will react whenever the turn comes. You're going to have Sami Zayn being, oddly, the guy who's going to come out as the babyface by turning on the biggest faction in the promotion. He's going to turn on the biggest star. Roman's the guy. He's the star in WWE. And Sami's going to turn on him and in that become the biggest good guy in the company and be able to dethrone the tribal chief. And the biggest question in that is it for both belts? Are we going to split the belts and Roman has to defend on both nights? Then which night does Sami go over? What do you do with the other title? How do you get that off of him? If Rock comes back, Rock clearly gets a shot at one of them, which the thing that would make the most sense would be Rocky goes after the Universal because he's never had it, which, without having that kind of being discussed prior to Rumble, it kind of cheapens the Rumble victory a bit considering the current title situation. But I don't like two world titles. I don't like the Universal title and the world title both existing. I like that one guy has them both because they both are a thing. But I don't like that they both even exist. Because one has to be more valuable than the other. And I don't know which one you really say is. I kind of feel like the world title has to be the most valuable because it has a legacy behind it. And the Universal title is for the universe, I guess. They didn't really give us a good reason as to why that belt exists. Whenever we look at that, I mean, I think it's a given KO doesn't win tonight, so Roman's not in jeopardy of not going to Mania with his titles. I think, however as they book that, it'll be a good overbooked finish in a way, but I think Roman's going to have to kind of win clean. Or maybe it is Sami proves his loyalty and he takes KO out to just accidentally win the Rumble at the end of the night. But I think Roman keeps his belt. I think we go into the Rumble. I think there's a lot of good moments that need to happen. We need Gunther and Brock in the ring together, and probably Gunther eliminating Brock to set up Gunther and Brock at Mania. I know there's been talk that they want to throw a bunch of money at Stone Cold to get Stone Cold at Mania again. I don't know if that means Stone Cold ends up in the Rumble. I certainly don't think they're going to have Stone Cold and Brock at Mania. You can't protect Stone Cold in that match with Brock and have that be entertaining for anybody. I think you got to have a lot of Cody and Seth moments have to happen throughout the Rumble. There needs to be a John Cena appearance. I think Cena's in the Rumble. Mark is over here. He's rocking his John Cena shirt. He's got his John Cena mask. He's ready to go for Cena to appear in the Rumble. I think you have to have that Cena Austin Theory face off happen in the Rumble to build for those guys for Mania. I do think that's the match for Cena. And if you're not going to do Logan Paul, I think Logan Paul's in the Rumble also. I actually think probably Logan and Jake Paul both are in the Rumble. I think that you get those appearances and you maybe have both Paul brothers and Austin Theory involved in something with John Cena to try and leave it up in the air to who gets the Cena match, but it should be Austin Theory. Logan Paul would be the bigger headline though, and they'd probably work a great match. I've seen recently somebody, I can't think of who it was, but someone said that it's kind of unfair the amount of time that Logan Paul got to practice his 3 matches and go over them over and over and over again with Shawn Michaels. And that's why the matches were so great and he gets so much praise for them. But I guess that's really, good on him. Who else to go over matches with other than HBK? I don't know. I can't remember who the hell it was who made that comment, but I read it somewhere that they were kind of throwing shade at Logan Paul for that being how he prepared for his matches was with Shawn every single day leading up to those matches, rehearsing them over and over and over again. And those may have been the most rehearsed matches ever. But, they were great matches. All of Logan Paul's matches were fantastic. And he really has no business being as good of a pro wrestler as he is. Whereas, the Rumble starts in just about 25 minutes. If you're watching us live on Instagram, if you're listening to the podcast later, you've probably already watched the Rumble. So you can head on over to all of our social media. Don't Say the F Word podcast on Instagram, TikTok, Facebook. It's the Don't Say the F Word podcast on YouTube. And leave some comments. Like, share, subscribe. Let's see if me and Mark are right. Sammy wins the Rumble. Rock still shows up in the Rumble. We get Cena at the Rumble. We get both Paul brothers at the Rumble. Of course, Roman Reigns retains his titles. But we are going to go ahead. We're at Kill the Podcast. We might stay on Instagram Live for a few, but Royal Rumble's about to happen. We're on our road to WrestleMania, and this is the most excited I've been for a WWE Royal Rumble in years because I really, truly don't know who's going to win. Be great if it was Cody, though.